Welcome to Maniacally Midwest, a true crime podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Maniacally Midwest. Thank you for hanging in there with us. I know we kind of flaked out on you guys last week. I'm sorry. We're coming to you live from my coffee table today. It's been a little bit nuts. I'm in the middle of moving, so thank you for bearing with us. But for those of you who are not familiar with our format, I'm Chloe. This is my co-host, Katie.
Hello.
And here at Maniacally Midwest, each week we pick a different true crime that occurred in the Midwest. Katie is in Michigan, but from Wisconsin. I'm in Wisconsin, but from Michigan. So we love the Midwest. And the fun part is the person that's presenting doesn't give any real details on what's going on with the crime, except for usually the location. So the other person gets to react right along with you guys. So this week, Katie's going to present and I'm going to listen. I'm super excited. I hear this one is going to blow my balls off. So
It will, for sure. I mean, full disclosure, guys, in case like anything gets screwy going forward, Chloe has heard part of this already. My internet has been on and off working. So she hasn't gotten to the nitty gritty. She doesn't know what's going to happen yet. She just heard the background and then my internet crapped out. So if it gets funky, we might have a little bit of weirdness if it seems like a little warped or something. Bear with us. But we will jump straight back into it. I'm going to give you guys all a trigger warning. First trigger warning is strap your balls down because I'm going to blow them straight off. Second,
you paused and you were like, I'm going to blow them. To be...
no, that's not, no.
Katie will be blowing your balls up and not just blowing them, okay, guys? She's a married woman.
Second trigger warning is there is violence against children. So you've been warned, but this one is a crazy one. Also, I have taken my creative license. This didn't technically, it's not really a Midwest case, but it's like kind of a Midwest case. And if you have a problem with that, send an email to maniacallymidwest@gmail.com. I control the email, so I will delete it. Fair warning, don't car. Anyways, well, let's get to it. John List was born in Bay City, Michigan. See, Midwest.
Michigan.
Anyways, Michigan, fact, that is in the Midwest. In September of 1925. He was the only child to his father, John, and his mother, Alma. I think that there's either like a great-grandma, great-great-grandma. Someone in my family's name is Alma. Also, Marky Mark and Donnie's mom, Wahlburgers. Their mom's name is Alma, so that's pretty cool.
I will say with Wahlburgers, okay, so first of all, they're delicious. If you have one by you, go check them out. This is our plug for them. But if you are in Wisconsin specifically, they have really, really good cheese curds. And I don't think that they have them outside of Wisconsin, which sucks because I hyped them up and then Katie went in Michigan and was very disappointed.
And they were like, no, we don't do that.
And you're near Wahlburgers, go get some cheese curds. Thank you. That's it. That's my PSA.
I will also give people a warning about Wahlburgers because my mom loves wine a lot.
Okay.
And she ordered, I don't remember what she ordered as far as wine went, but they put a popsicle in it, which is a fun little twist. I would love that, but my mom was like, what the hell is this?
She's like very...
Yeah, she threw it in the waiter's face and she was like, how dare you?
It's like when people put ice in like red wine or something. I mean, ice in any wine, but I feel like...
ice in wine. I put ice in wine.
It tastes good, okay?
It really does. And it makes it cold, so whatever.
Yes.
Anyways, their family was super devout German Lutherans. They're very strict and really straight-laced. And I'm familiar with the concept that Lutheranism has come out of Germany, but for whatever reason, when I think about like extremely strict religions, I don't feel like Germans typically fall into that category. Maybe because I've been to Oktoberfest. Maybe, I don't know what, but I'm like, that doesn't seem like them. They're like fun people. They like to
Oh,
drink, to polka,
yeah,
like
have a good
whatevs. Yeah, they're just there living their life. But
exactly.
not them. They were a
Okay.
buzzkill. Don't invite them to parties. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
John's dad would pass away a year after he graduated from high school. And
No.
John ended up going on to, I mean, I don't feel that bad for him just because I already know what's coming. So, like, suck it. Um, not to the dad. It's not his fault, but to John.
Yes.
So he ended up enlisting in the military in 1943, and he was a laboratory tech during World War II. So I'm not really sure if he did actually physically serve overseas or if that's something that you serve in the capacity that you stay in an area. It kind of was unclear to me if that was the case or not.
Yeah. No, that's definitely kind of a weird sector to be in, but
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
sure
know.
that he was definitely like on the smarter end if that's how they felt like utilizing him.
He was very smart. And when he was discharged in 1946, he ended up going to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor.
Where I
Um,
was born on the dorm room floors, right? As
yeah,
Kate.
exactly. Now, as we covered, as previously before it got cut off, is this the blue and the gold or the green? Is this the condom people or the blue and yellow?
So this is, to be very clear, the blue and gold people, the Fire Superior School, okay?
Okay, yeah.
My whole family, actually, my brother just got into U of M, by the way, so he's carrying on.
Ooh,
Yeah, my
congrats.
dad went there. I was born there. My grandpa went there. But
So do you count
um,
you as going there since you were born there? I
I
went
should
there.
get an degree. Yes. No, I'm actually really holding out. I actually talk about this with my sister all the time. I'm holding out for my honorary Harvard degree. I'm just going to have
Oh,
to be so excellent at whatever I do that they give me the degree from there because there's not a single chance that I'm getting in with their acceptance rates these days.
well, you can hope.
So,
So he ended up getting a bachelor's in business administration and a master's in accounting. What up, accounting peeps? I mean,
woohoo.
not him, actually. Boo on him. Not, no.
He's
But
not a,
he was also commissioned to be a second lieutenant through ROTC. Not really sure what that means, but okay. Good for you, John.
yeah, no, that is a weird. I feel like
And
we should Google what the ROTC is.
I
Keep
swear I
going.
thought it was the people with like the wooden guns and the flags and stuff in parades, but I don't know if that's
Well,
wrong.
I thought it was the people that come to your high school and make you do push-ups in the hallway, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to join like the Marines or whatever?"
Oh, well,
Okay.
maybe.
Reserve Officers Training Corps. It's a group of college and university-based officer training programs for training commissioned officers of the United States Armed Forces. So maybe
Oh,
he like helped like recruit people and like train them while they were
oh,
in school.
okay. All right. Now we
Anyways,
know. The more you
continue.
know. Just a little
Yes.
rainbow. Um, and it exactly in November of 1950, the Korean War was ramping up and he ended up being called back to service. Again, I don't know if he served overseas or if he just stayed here because he ended up going to Fort Eustis, Virginia, and he ended up meeting Helen Taylor. And at this point, Helen had a daughter named Brenda, and Helen's husband had been killed in action in Korea. John and Helen ended up getting married on December 1st, 1951, and I guess the Army recognized his skills and intelligence because they reassigned him to the Finance Corps, and the family ended up moving to California because of this.
Which I said sounds fabulous. I don't know what the finance core is, but if they'll pay to move me to California, sign me up.
I I would never move to California ever.
You're not a
It's a
California
poopy.
person, okay?
No.
It's a vibe. I'd be
Yeah,
bleached.
you're like a look, you're wearing tie-dye. You're
Yeah,
this is you. You're a California person.
I'd be a
I'm
hippie.
like I feel like New York I would fit in with. California,
Oh yeah, you're
like New
very
York is like yelling at people, aggressive. Like I told you, I think that in a previous life I was a Staten Island garbage man. So
side
it all
note.
checks out.
We have a lot of qualms with this whole ordeal, but Joe Rogan did have Chris Distefano on this week. And regardless of how we feel about that exact interview, Chris Distefano is for sure Katie's spirit animal. They are the same person. You cannot convince me otherwise. So if you want a good laugh, just go look up some of his stand up on YouTube, and you will
He
also
yes,
get Katie.
he is hilarious. And if I would have known about Chris Distefano like years ago, I think I would be convinced that I like molded my personality to be the same as his. But it wasn't until like last summer when I told like Chloe like, "Holy crap, you need to listen to the Hey Babes podcast. It's so funny with Chris Distefano and Sal from Impractical Jokers." But that's the first time I ever heard of him.
Okay, so Katie is Chris Distefano. Just look it up. That's all you need to
Period.
know. Continue.
Period.
Sorry.
All
Yes,
right.
that's just it. To inspiration.
Right back to the case. I feel super like distracted the past like week and a half. Like staying on task is so hard for me. But I'm gonna do my
I
best.
think Mercury's in retrograde. I was talking to one of my hippy dippy ladies the other day, and she's like, "No, I'm not even gonna do this right now. Mercury's in retrograde. I gotta wait till it's out." And I was like, but maybe
Okay.
she's not wrong. So
Maybe.
here we go.
So as he's wrapping up his second tour, and in 1952, the List family moves back to Michigan. John
Mhm.
started working for an accounting firm in Detroit, and then John ends up being an audit supervisor at a paper company in Kalamazoo. Again, we're back in Michigan, people. He's a Michigan guy.
Can confirm.
There, there, he and Helen had 3 children together. They had Patricia, John Jr., and Frederick. John's career was on an upward trajectory, and in 1959, he ended up being a general supervisor of the accounting department at this paper company. In 1960, Brenda, Helen's daughter from her previous marriage, ended up getting married and moved out. And at the same time, the rest of the family moved to Rochester, New York, because John had landed a job as the director of accounting services at Xerox. Ew,
Yeah, ballin'.
fancy.
So did
So,
he like live through? Because if he worked for Xerox, do you think he got to deal with like all the crazy people that were in like Mad Men? Because they did like advertising stuff, and I would imagine that Xerox was like a big thing that maybe would have
well,
enlisted.
was most of Mad Men like the 50s? Because he went there in
I feel like it
1960.
was early 60s too.
Maybe. I don't, either way, I don't think that it would matter a lot because John is kind of a D-bag, to be frank. He doesn't like people. He doesn't deal with human beings well. He is a weirdo.
Lame.
So
Okay.
probably they wouldn't have dealt with him
Boo,
anyways.
he missed out.
Yeah, you suck. You missed out on Don Draper.
Exactly.
Okay, so in addition to John's star rising, during this
Mhm.
time period, Helen's drinking had become a problem.
Oh, scandal.
John sounds like a buzzkill. Anyways, I don't actually know if this is just according to John or if Helen was actually an alcoholic because like he's kind of annoying. But regardless of what the actual truth of the situation was, there were cracks that were starting to appear in their relationship. All was not well. And
Oh.
while he was at Xerox, they actually ended up going on a business trip that was covered by the company's account. And I guess like
Mm.
when they went, it was him and Helen, like they ordered room service stuff and kind of went ape on the company's credit card. But it
Listen,
seems
I love
like
a good meals and entertainment write off, okay?
I mean, granted, it is a lot more fun. Like, okay, if you own your own business and you write it off, that's one thing. It's way more fun if it's someone's else like card that they write the stuff off because it still is money you have to spend. So I get
Yes.
that. I feel that. But it seems like him and Helen kind of got a taste for the finer things in life on this trip. And who doesn't enjoy having a taste of the fruits of your labor? Like, you don't want to work all the time and not enjoy what you've worked for.
It's a slippery slope.
Well, in 1965, John was fired from Xerox. Um, yeah,
Oops.
they said that he couldn't keep up with the pace of the work that they required from him. And I kind of want to point out, like, when I'm doing these cases, it's not like one place that I look. I usually like go through a bunch of like, if I can find videos like of research, if I can find websites, I kind of like compare. And it seems like the overall consensus is that like John was like a perfectionist, like he had OCD or something like that, which
Which makes
would
sense.
make sense why they're saying we got to fire you. You're not keeping up, because if you're like hyper focused on like these minor details, then you can't like, it's one of those situations where like you are too close to it, you can't see the forest, you only see the tree kind of a
Mm,
situation where you're not seeing the big picture. So that makes
totally.
sense. It would make him a great accountant, it would make him a terrible manager. So,
Yeah, he should have stayed. Didn't you say he was in auditing before? That sounds like
mhm,
the perfect
yeah.
match.
Well, so after he was fired, he accepted a position as a vice president and comptroller at a bank in Jersey City, New Jersey, which I had
Mhm.
to Google what a comptroller was because I know I've heard the word before, but I did not know actually what it is. So, a comptroller is like a management position level that oversees accounting and financial reporting. So, there's the controller who like actually controls the finances. The comptroller is the one that looks over the things that the controller is doing essentially, like the next
Oh,
level above
so
it.
back to
Um,
basically auditing. So that's good.
well, it's a management position, which is not good for him. He
Uh,
does not connect with human beings well. So, good luck. But
yikes.
when he accepted this job, Helen, Patty, John Jr., and Frederick, they all moved to Westfield, New Jersey, which is apparently a very hachi-chachi area. And they moved in. What were you gonna mock that I said hachi-chachi?
No, it always
Okay.
throws me off. So, okay, New Jersey has like one of the highest levels of wealth in the country. I don't know about you, but when I think of New Jersey, I don't think of like rich people. I
Uh,
think of like
You think of like
kind of
Jersey
trashy, like
trash,
Jersey
like
Shore.
yeah. Okay, I think the reason why is because it's essentially the suburbs of New York. So there are people that don't want to be in the hustle and bustle. So they like, I I understand the concept of it, but I agree. I think of like Snooki, where I'm like, oh, yikes.
Yeah.
So they
So
moved
they're
to
in their
West,
Hachi Tachi, New Jersey.
yes,
Okay.
and they moved into Breeznell, which is a beautiful 19-room Victorian mansion. So this is a home that has a name, so you know.
It's an
Yeah.
estate.
Mhm. The mansion had a beautiful ballroom, and they had a gorgeous stained glass skylight that was a Tiffany.
Shut up. That had to be so
Yes.
crazy expensive. That's so opulent. Oh my God.
Well, I think during the time I've heard like kind of reports that there's not an exact number that I'm positive it was, but somewhere between 50,000 and 100,000 is what they paid for the house, which seems like so small, but
Don't even
based on the time.
I fucking hate everything. Just somebody who just closed on, not even, I didn't even get a whole house, okay? We're in a duplex, which is great, but it makes me want to cry that not even that long ago, somebody bought a 19-room house with a Tiffany ceiling for 50 to 100,000. I can't even process that information right now, so please continue.
So, um I'm not a person that has ever thought to myself I would love to buy a Tiffany lamp. I'm not like that, but I can definitely appreciate the beauty and like, holy crap, a Tiffany skylight. And I guess currently that skylight would be over or worth over $650,000 today, just the skylight.
I don't doubt it. I have on Tiffany necklaces right now, and I almost like killed my husband when I saw how much just like necklaces were. I can't imagine a whole
It's expensive.
ceiling.
I think that it's like, at least in my mind, it's kind of like a rite of passage when you reach a certain age that you see the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's and you're like, I have to have something from the store. Because I did have a Tiffany necklace, but then Layla wore it one day and she got it caught in the air conditioner, which I was happy that she didn't decapitate herself, but it broke
That's
my
good.
necklace that she was wearing.
Oops.
So, I mean,
Watch
it
out.
is what it is. You kind of move past that phase, but it feels like you want to walk in the store and like they have the carpeted steps and everything, and it just feels so extravagant. And then you pretend that you're like Audrey Hepburn. Like, anyways,
I love
um,
that impression.
that's how it is in the movie. You don't get it. It's fine. Um, their neighborhood was extremely safe and very exclusive.
Oh,
They had made it. I actually literally wrote in my notes right here, "Wah wah wee wah," like Borat.
oh,
So
trust me, I know because my husband taught my 5-year-old this phrase. Obviously, not in context. To be very clear, we did not watch the movie with her, but I hear this phrase quite frequently in my house.
So a neighbor recalled stopping by with his dad shortly after they had moved in, and they had brought a pie that his mom had made to welcome them to the neighborhood. And John opened the door and he took the pie and then was like, "Yeah, no, we don't like to socialize," and just shut the door in their face.
Okay, weird.
I would have pounded on the door and be like, "Give me back my pie, butthole." Then you
I was
don't
gonna
get
say
this.
pie.
You don't get to say like, "No, thank you. I don't want to talk," and then take the pie. You pick one or the other. Be nice or give me back the pie.
Yes, absolutely.
So in addition, everywhere that the lists had lived, including Breeze Knoll, the neighbors would notice like kind of how like pissy John always was. He would scream at kids for being on their lawn and chase them off, which I listen. Out of all the stuff he does, like, can we not understand that? Because we're a little bit obsessive compulsive about our grass. And I know when I see a kid ride across our grass on a bike, it makes me want to scream.
Yeah.
We live on a corner, so that's why someone would ride their bike across. Their house didn't look like it was on a corner, but like if they have 3 children, it's not like if there's kids outside playing, I'm like, get off the grass to like my daughter and her friends.
Right.
And if someone I just saw cut across our entire lawn to avoid the longer walk around the road part, yeah, I'd be frustrated, but I don't know that I'd chase them off.
No,
Um,
definitely.
in addition, when he would mow, he would straight up like mow in his like suits, like suit and tie.
That's weird. That's
That's
very
real
suspect.
freaking weird. Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, people do watch people how they dress. Like, there's one of my neighbors who mows his lawn barefoot.
that's
And I'm
also very
like,
weird.
okay, it stresses me out just because, like, Mirza cut off his toe.
Oh, I did not realize that. But
He
also, I was
wasn't
gonna say, yeah,
barefoot.
when did he cut off his toe?
Not like
Is this a
recently.
first step situation?
Like,
Did you
he cut
throw
off.
a glass bottle at him?
No, no. He cut off his toe when he was in high school. He was mowing the lawn. And I don't remember the exact situation that he said. Like, you know how sometimes like the lawnmower gets jammed up or whatever and you check something and you like walk over by the side. He was wearing
Uh,
shoes.
don't tell me this.
He
Okay.
He currently has 10 toes. It was reattached, so he is not off balance. He can stand on his feet and not fall over from missing. But yeah, he cut his big toe off when he was in high school.
Oh my God. In
Yeah.
that exact situation too. Okay. So yeah, I don't know why anybody would mow the lawn barefoot anyways, but yikes.
Okay, at least in that situation, it's like, oh wow, he's super casual, right? I think it's very weird. It's unsafe to not wear shoes, but at least it's like, maybe he's like, I don't want my grass or my shoes to get grass stains. This is like, why are you wearing a suit, you weirdo?
No, that's like you're a psycho.
Yes, exactly. This kind of all makes sense because John was so obsessed with appearances. Like he couldn't even let his appearances down when he's mowing the friggin' lawn. He was a
Yeah.
Sunday school teacher as well, which sounds super fun to have that gem as a teacher.
Yikes.
So while he was super obsessed with all of this stuff and he ruled his household like a weirdo, Helen was like
Mhm.
rarely seen. She was sick a lot, and also she supposedly drank a bunch, so the kids were kind of just out in the world figuring it out. Like neighbors and other like cities and stuff noted how it was a lot of the times just the kids going around, like neither of the parents really had anything to do with anyone.
That's strange and concerning.
Yeah. In addition, John kind of like how I would explain it is he never cut his cord, and
Yeah.
him and his mom were like buddies. And
That's also usually not a good sign.
yeah, and he ended up moving Alma to New Jersey, and she lived in the attic in the apartment that they had built up there. Not like in the attic, like, okay, Christmas lights, grandma, get up there.
That's what I was like envisioning, like some weird, like North States or whatever,
Just
like
makes it
situation.
easier when it's time for Christmas decorating. Like, hey, can you throw down the lights? We'll just throw some food up here. No, she had she had an apartment up there.
Okay,
Um,
got it.
so Patty ended up his oldest daughter, or only daughter, I guess, but the oldest child. She had gotten
Yeah.
super into acting in school, and John was super pissed about that. And he said that acting would take her away from Christianity. I don't,
I
not
mean, I
really.
don't know that she's wrong, but also
Well, how is she?
chill.
How would he be right? How would that take her away from it? I
The
feel like
Scientologist get her.
I don't know. So during this time, Homeboy ends up losing his job
Oh,
because shocker, he
again?
has no people skills. Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of searching for a new job, he just pretended to go to work every day and would sit at the train station because that makes sense.
God.
And obviously, things started to turn upside down because their home was expensive. I mean, 50,000 isn't that much to us now, but that was very expensive then.
Yeah.
And he also had 3 children, a wife, and a mom that he had to support. Um,
Yeah.
I guess occasionally he would start dipping into mommy's account, helping himself to some money, but he was at a breaking point. They didn't have enough money to pay for the stuff. Um, and he was kind of screwed. Um, Another revelation that I've got, because I mentioned that I'm not sure if Helen was really an alcoholic.
Hmm.
The reason why I'm not sure is because she had kept a secret that would greatly affect her mental capacity. And it could possibly come off as appearing as though she's drunk. She had syphilis.
Oh.
She had contracted it from her
Well,
first.
that
Yeah.
okay, but when you live with that like for a long time, like I don't know if people like really realize because you can like actually I think weirdly enough, Joe Rogan was speaking about this one day, shocker.
Oh
Um
boy.
you can like go blind and stuff and doesn't it like kind of like eat away at your brain?
Yeah. So, okay. I knew all of that stuff. I didn't realize that there's a point that syphilis becomes not contagious. Because the first thought when I found this out, I was like, oh, crap, does Johnny Boy have syphilis too? Because, like, that would piss me off. But no, she was not contagious. But if it's left untreated, it essentially starts eating away at your brain. I mean, your entire body, but your brain also. And the reason why I did actually know all of this is because when I was younger, I used to be super obsessed with like the mafia, not like the mafia and that I wanted to be in it, but like it's super interesting how they're like all set up and organized and all that and the different things. It's a huge part of American history, really, like especially when you get into like prohibition and stuff like that. But Al Capone actually died from syphilis that went untreated.
Oh, I think I did know that actually.
But so, I mean, he started to go crazy. So it could appear as though like, and maybe it was easier for John to admit that his wife is an alcoholic and use that as an excuse and be like, yo, she's got some real bad syphilis that went untreated. I don't really
Yeah,
know.
that would be more socially acceptable.
Yeah. So it's also been said that she, on a regular basis, would express her disappointment in John, like just generally speaking, and would say stuff like he would never compare to her former husband. And she's kind of felt like her life sucked. I mean, on both sides of the token, John sounds like a weirdo, so I don't blame her, but that also cannot feel good to hear from someone else because there's not really any way you can fix that or compare to that or be like, no, that's not true. I don't like, you're
No,
kind of screwed. All
pretty
right. So
irrefutable.
this is strap your balls on, strap them down,
All right,
on, off,
the
whatever.
strip.
Whatever you need to do. Put them in a secure location if you don't want to lose them. Whatever you guys need to do. So it is November 9th, 1971. John has been notified that his home is going to be foreclosed. And shit has officially hit the fan.
Oh no.
So his kids are at school, and his wife was sitting at the kitchen table drinking her coffee, and he shot her in the back of the head. She was 46 years old at this point. He then went
Oh no.
upstairs to his mom's apartment, who asked what that sound was. And while she was asking this, she was waiting for her toast to come up, and he shot her above the left eye. Uh, Alma was
Hey,
84.
that's
hmm So he used the time that his children were at school to clean up the messes that he made. He mopped up the crime scene and he noted how bloody it was. I guess he also kind of complained that he didn't have one of those self-wringing mops, so he had to wring it out all the time while he was cleaning. Um, and then when he was done, he was obviously hungry, so he made himself a sandwich.
okay.
Then Patty, who was 16 at the time, and Frederick, who was 13, came home and he shot both of them in the back of the head.
No, not the
Yes.
kids.
Yeah. Then he went to the bank and he cleaned out both his account and his mom's account. Then he drove to John Jr.'s soccer game and watched him play and drove them both home. And when he got home, he shot John Jr., who was 15 at the time, as well. However, he shot John Jr. 10 times because he had tried to defend himself.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
So, like I was saying, he cleaned up the scenes that were bloody as best that he could, and he dragged each body into the ballroom and put them on sleeping bags. He had turned the heat down to 50. Yeah. He had turned the heat down to 50 degrees and he put music, like they had one of those intercom thingies. So it's music throughout the whole house, onto a Christian radio station and turned every single light on in the house. The one person who was not in the
This is
ballroom, it is super weird. This guy's a weirdo. The one person that wasn't in the ballroom was his mom, and she was left up in a closet in the attic apartment. Then, before he left, he removed his picture from every single photograph in his home. So, if there was like a family picture, he was out of it now. Before he left, he took his passport and he was gone.
like he like physically like cut the pictures.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Which at first I thought was like a
Okay.
punishment thing, but we'll kind of get into why he did that. So, Like I said, that all happened on November 9th. Now it is December 7th, and the police finally showed up at the List home. Prior to the murders, John had called school, jobs, and he had covered all of his bases, saying that their family was visiting Helen's ailing mother, so no one really felt disturbed by them being absent or them not being seen. In addition, he had tried not to have his family socialized, so alarm bells weren't really going off for a bunch of people that they weren't going out or that people wouldn't see them. So the reason
Yeah.
why the police ended up getting a call is he turned on every single light in the house, right? Well, then
Right.
all of a sudden, the neighbors started noticing, like, one by one, the bulbs in the house are burning out, where they're staying on all the time, the ones that haven't. But then, like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's real weird. So the police were called out, and they ended up climbing through an unlocked window to the basement. They end up discovering the family's bodies. And they also discover, I think it was a 5-page letter to John's pastor from him in the study. He goes through this whole thing saying that there's so much evil in the world and he wanted to make sure that his family was going to go to heaven, that their souls were saved. And it seemed like they were growing away from their faith. So essentially, like, what a great guy. I feel like he wants like an award for this because he
Right.
wanted to make
That's how you
sure.
get kindness. Why didn't you kill yourself then too, if you were so concerned about everybody going to heaven?
Well, because he, like later, he would say the reason why he didn't is because if you kill yourself, then you won't go to heaven, and he wanted to join them. So the solution is he kills all of them. Wasn't something they knew about, so their souls are fine. Yeah, it all
Makes
makes super sense. Yeah. Um, he also says that he knew that them going broke was something they wouldn't have been able to deal with. Again, I feel like his problems he's projecting on other people. He would have been embarrassed to be poor, so his solution was to start over and run away. He would have had a problem if their faith didn't line up in the exact same way that his did, so he made sure that he wouldn't be embarrassed. He does also mention in the letter that his mom is upstairs. She was too heavy to carry down. He also mentions that the reason that he turned the heat down to 50, I thought at first that he was doing this to slow decomposition.
That's what I thought.
No, he didn't want to cost the bank extra money and damages, like because they were going to foreclose the house. And a pipe could burst if you turn the heat off completely. So he turned it to a level that would prevent that but not be super costly. Yeah, I'm sure the murders there will not affect the value of the home. Let's just worry about the pipes. That's important.
Oh my God.
So he had a month head start on the police because this happened November 9th and they only found out this happened on December 7th. They're
Right.
looking for John, and the reason that he had removed his picture from all of the family photos is now they have no no recent photo of him to like put out there for people to search and find, which,
Yeah.
okay, I hate him, but that's so smart. I would never think to do that. I thought it was like a self-punishing thing. Like, I'm not part of this family. I'm bad. No, he was going on the run and he knew that he was going to split. It's for
He
identification
really did
purposes.
cover a lot of bases. Like,
He
this
super
guy
did.
is super smart, but
Yeah.
definitely a psychopath.
So they end up finding his abandoned car at the airport, but there was no record of him being on any flight. They were screwed. They had a cold trail and they had no clues or hints. So during this same time period, people had a theory that John List was D.B. Cooper. Do you know who D.B. Cooper is?
Is
By your
that
look, I
like the,
don't. Huh?
does this have anything to do with like gold or whatever?
No, D.B. Cooper was an unidentified man who hijacked Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305 from Portland to Seattle on November 24th, 1971. He demanded
Nope.
$200,000 and to be flown to Mexico City. And then, as they were turning to meet his demands, He parachuted out over Southwest Washington. To this day, no one knows what happened to the guy, but part of the money was found along the Columbia River in 1980. So November
Okay.
24th,
See, I knew it had
1970.
something to do with like treasure. That's what I was thinking about, like the gold.
Well,
Okay.
now
That
I
is
guess, yeah, now people are looking for it because they don't know. They only found like a super small amount of the money, which also, I don't, is this like a 70s thing? Because I don't think if I hijack a plane and I'm like, I want $200,000, do they have that on there? Like, I feel like if I ask for like 5 Cokes, they're going to be like, we're out of Coke. Sorry. So I wouldn't think I can get that kind of cash from a plane.
even when you go to the bank, because like we've gone to like go buy cars or something. Even if you want to take out like $5,000 or $10,000, you have to like call them ahead of time because they don't
Yeah.
just keep it on deck.
Hmm.
So what planes? Yeah, in the '70s, they were just like, you know what, we might need this. Let's just.
You know what? You can smoke on a plane, and we got like millions of dollars just hanging out. If you need money, we're here, I guess.
We really missed out.
Yeah,
Sounds like
we
a
really
grand old
did.
time.
They had an awesome time then. So he
Yeah.
was not DB Cooper, but the dates matched up that people were like, well, he was on the run November into December. I mean, so even after December, but they didn't even know that he was wanted in November. So
That'd
he
be
was not
compelling. Very
DB Cooper.
salacious.
Yes, he was not DB Cooper, but apparently he had walked into the Social Security office and was like, oops, I lost my card. My name's Robert Clark. And they were like, here, cool, that's your card. What? How was everyone not murdered in the 70s if you could just do that?
I'm pretty sure everybody was actually murdered in the '70s, and we just
That's
don't
not
account
true.
for it.
My parents were not murdered in the 70s. So
Oh, this could all be a fever dream. Who
that's
knows?
it. Yeah.
Not ruling
So
anything out.
So he ended up going by train from Newark to Michigan and then to Colorado, and he ended up settling in Denver, city of sin,
Lame.
Chloe.
Nobody likes Denver.
At first, he stayed away from his previous life. So he didn't go to church. He didn't look for an accounting job. He actually worked as a line cook at a hotel for a while. But he got cocky.
Okay,
I just said cocky.
cock. I'm gonna go cock the bathtub. He got cocky.
I don't know why I said it that way. I feel like my Staten Island is coming out. I don't know.
It is.
Anyways, he saw very little news about his family while he was in Denver. And so I think that his arrogance and the fact that he felt like he was smarter than everyone else got the better of him. And he ended up going back into accounting work. He joined a Lutheran church and he ran a pool. I'm having a stroke. I think a carpool. What is happening?
Everything is
He ran a carpool for the shut-in members of his church. And he ended up meeting a lady named
okay.
Dolores. Yeah. He ended up meeting a lady named Dolores Miller and he married her in 1985. So, Bobby Clark,
Oh,
aka John List, is now remarried. In 1988, John,
God.
aka Bob, and Dolores moved to Midlothian, Virginia, and he still worked as an accountant. The balls on this dude. He's like a state away, basically, from where he murdered. Like, Virginia is so close to New Jersey. He murdered people. He's
Yeah.
in the same line of work. Like, he just doesn't give an F about nothing at all.
Oh my God.
So,
Yeah, that makes me.
and at this point, when he moved to Virginia, he murdered his whole family, including his mother, 17 years earlier.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, later he will say that Helen's mom was sick. She was actually supposed to visit them. And if she had visited them, he was also going to kill her also. Which, it's like, what? Why? That doesn't make
He
sense. Like,
just.
this this whole theory is like the people in your household had to be done because this was so embarrassing. Then what does Helen's mom have to do with it if she doesn't live with you?
Well, exactly. That's what I was just gonna say. He's just really unraveling, it seems like. I can't believe he got away with it for this long and he still is about to get caught.
Mm-hmm. So it's 1989. I'm 1 year old. I believe that I'm the person that brought justice to John List.
100%. It was all you.
Yeah. America's Most Wanted featured John List on their program. Mm-hmm.
Yes. This is exactly how I want this to come to an end. Thank God. Okay.
So the case had gone cold, and actually the investigators who were working on it, they approached America's Most Wanted and Unsolved Mysteries. Unsolved Mysteries was like, no, that's dumb. We're not doing that one. That's boring.
Lame.
How dare they? But America's Most Wanted initially did reject them, but then they ended up, I don't know if it was they were persuaded by the case or maybe other reasons. I have no idea why. But so they featured them. And for those of you who are not familiar, if you are a younger listener, America's Most Wanted is like basically a reality crime TV show, because they run these cases, they have reenactments, but then like at the end of the program they have like a bank of phones and people answering the phones, and the people answering the phones are like the police officers, the detectives, the investigators, whoever that have been working on this case. They're people who have direct knowledge of the case and they're getting tips and stuff like that. It's a brilliant concept. I mean, crap. If you've seen on Netflix Don't F with Cats, that's a big thing. And the whole concept of that, if you're not familiar with it, is that people are tipped onto this situation with this guy who killed someone, and he also killed cats, which is hence the thing. But they're cyber sleuths where they put these things together, they track someone. People love feeling like they are responsible for something. So this whole thing, okay, they get crap tips, right? But not every tip is crappy. And if someone thinks that they have a part of something, sometimes they'll come forward with information that if they weren't like kind of pressed forward to be part of this whole like big thing, maybe they would think is nothing. But then even if they think it's nothing, they want to be part of this activity and like fervor and stuff. So they
Yeah.
ended up in this episode, there's this forensic sculptor named Frank Bender, and he had made an age progressed clay bust of John List.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was hardcore. Even down to like it looked a lot like him, even though they did not have obviously his photo during that time period. But they even said in doing this that they put on these horn rimmed glasses because they believed that this guy was such a butthole that he wouldn't even bother changing his glasses. Like he would stick with this, that this was who he was. And he did.
Shut up.
Yeah.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah. So they ended up getting calls. Some of them were crappy. One woman called on her husband and she was like, this looks like this guy. It wasn't him.
Oh my God.
That's got to be an uncomfortable conversation after and be like, you bitch.
Yeah.
Okay, but I
Especially
want
when
to
it's not.
I want to believe that even if I did that, like, okay, fine, that's not good, but you did kind of look like that guy, and if you were a murderer, wouldn't you? Maybe you wouldn't want me if you were a murderer, but like, I'm a good person, that should tell you, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna
It's
assume
true.
that they slept in separate beds for a
Well,
while. So,
yeah. I think that really probably went very well for their relationship. Okay.
but on June 1st, I think it was a couple of weeks after this episode of America's Most Wanted aired, they got a phone call from a person who was a neighbor of Bob Clark's in Denver, Colorado. And he ended up
Nice.
being arrested at a Richmond, Virginia accounting firm. So at
Oof.
first, he was sticking to it that he was Robert Clark. He was extradited to New Jersey. He still insisted that he's Robert Clark. He is not John List. But on February 16th, 1990, so June 1st, 1989, he was arrested.
Yeah.
Like, close enough to a year that I would call it a year of him saying, "No, I'm Bob Clark. I'm Bob Clark." He admitted that he was John List.
Oh my
Um,
God.
Probably the reason why he did is because there was a fingerprint match. He had served in the military. They had his fingerprints on file.
I didn't
So,
even think that. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't think he thought about that either.
I
You
don't think
idiot.
so. Well, I
The
think
one
that
thing you
he's
forgot.
yeah, exactly. Can't rip your fingerprints out of the military's book, you jerk.
You should have burned him
Um,
off. People do that, don't they?
I don't know if that actually works or not. I've seen that people like chemical burn them off and
Yeah.
sandpaper them off. I don't know. Whatever.
There.
So I could go deep into the defense that his lawyers had for him. I feel like there's no point. He's a butthole. Just like his letter, he made it very clear he was trying to help them, and then they're also trying to argue that he has personality disorders. So, whatever. Bob slash John
Fine.
can shut his face. On
Yeah.
April 12th, 1990, he was convicted of first degree murder. At
Nice.
sentencing, he ran his stupid face and said, "I feel that because of my mental state at the time, I was unaccountable for what happened. I ask all affected by this for their forgiveness, understanding, and prayer." And the judge was like, "Yeah, cool story, bro." And the judge ended up saying back to him, "After 18 years, 5 months, and 22 days, it is now time for the voices of Helen, Alma, Patricia, Frederick, and John F. to rise from the grave." So John List ended up getting 5 life sentences. Of course,
Yay.
he appealed. He tried to blame his military service and PTSD.
PTSD.
A very fancy PTSD. And also tried to say the letter to his pastor was a confidential communication. Therefore, that would be inadmissible as evidence. What the frick with this guy?
I don't think
Because
that's
it
how
said
it
for
works.
the pastor, you shouldn't have opened it. Like, that's illegal evidence. That says to someone else.
I feel
Okay.
like you could maybe do that with like your attorney or like your doctor. But if you leave a note somewhere, like it also didn't go through the mail. It's not like they went into your mailbox and like broke a law like that.
Yeah, no, you left it on your study. It wasn't like it was their job. Like, you didn't deliver that to my pastor. That's against the law.
Yeah.
Um, Anyways,
Okay.
John List died on March 21st, 2008, from pneumonia at the age of 82. And that was the end of
Good.
the man that they referred to as the boogeyman of Westfield. So,
Nice.
also, I want to add in where I said that the stained glass would be worth 650,000 now. Like about
Yeah.
9 months or so after the murders, the house was burnt down, and they think it was arson, but they never caught anyone for it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that someone in the area burnt the house down because I feel like you don't want that there. There is a different house sitting on there now that was built in 1974, but that is that. So the stained glass is gone.
My gosh.
Yeah.
That's spooky though. I don't think that there's anything scarier than a mansion that people have been murdered in.
They said that in the area of New Jersey after this happened, like the kids in the neighborhood were really freaked out. They didn't want to be around that house at all. And they would ask their parents, like, "Dad, one day are you going to come home and murder us all?" And I'm like, oh,
Oh my God. Yeah,
I
that'd be a
mean,
hard one.
that's a
Okay.
lot.
My balls were blown off. That was a wild one from start to finish. I can't believe he made it that long without getting caught.
Yeah.
Like,
The
that's
funny,
crazy.
the really funny thing to me is that he went to such lengths to not socialize with people. Like, he essentially was like an introvert and like just was a recluse. And then what ended up
Yeah,
getting him busted is a neighbor.
right.
So
Oh
I think
my
that that's
God.
poetic justice. But that is
It's
the end of
most
that. I know Chloe and I have been struggling to figure out what our topic is going to be. I'm just checking my phone to make sure that we don't have any news on the Johnny Depp trial, because what we were going to discuss was what the verdict is, but these jurors are taking their sweet time. I cannot keep checking YouTube and seeing the verdict watch on Law and Crime. It's making me
Not
so
very.
mad. Don't these people have other stuff to do?
Listen, I
So
know they're getting paid less for jury duty
it's
than
not, yeah, exactly. It's not enough money that would make sense for you to try to get out of this.
no.
Although it is free lunch. Actually, you know what? I would take jury duty if that meant like I could get breaks from like the house. Maybe. Where do we can we sign up for this? Is there like a volunteer line, or I just got to wait until they pick me?
I think they will pay for childcare also. So
Oh, perfect. I will take a case that's 6 weeks long. That's
there we
perfect.
go.
So,
Especially if you end up.
as we are waiting, we are I even suggested that while we're waiting for the verdict, that we maybe don't talk about it just so we don't overdo it. And then my suggestions were lame. I said, should we talk about Coke or Pepsi products? Because Pepsi is the worst. And I need people to know that. But that felt like not that cool of a topic, but I still feel like I needed to say that Pepsi, you suck. No one likes you. So we're just going to delve slightly into this Johnny Depp thing. What do you think the verdict is going to be?
I don't think that they are going to let anybody win, especially because how long it's taking for them to deliberate. And both of them are defamation suits. I'm not sure that there's enough direct information. You know what I mean? I think that they're both a shit show. I don't know that there's enough direct information presented for either of them to win. What is it? I think it's like 50 million and $100 million.
Yeah. So defamation, for people who don't know, defamation lawsuits are notoriously difficult to win or prove out. Um
Hmm.
so Johnny Depp is asking for $50 million for his defamation, and Amber Heard is asking for $100 million. Okay, so well, they could find in favor of someone but award no damages. That is also an option because they or very little damages.
I was gonna say, I feel like I'm not sure how it will be structured, but I feel like there will be some money paid out towards him. I think she did a piss poor job, and her team was just a shit show. I mean, to be fair, of convincing people in a uniform way that she didn't have anything to do with this. Because
The
I think that
problem
there were a lot of slip ups.
Okay, so I take it extremely personally when they say stuff like they're trying to appeal to people's sensitivities and say if you rule against her, you are basically telling domestic violence victims that no matter what they do, that they should have done more. And to me, that is bullshit. The problem with her, like that they've brought up the non-documentation of her injuries, isn't that she didn't document them. She's saying that she had her face punched in and she took a picture of a bruise on her arm. She's saying she was almost suffocated on the bed and there was blood all over the pillows, and she takes a picture of a bed frame. That's the part that's weird. You are like happy to take photos and document, but not of the actual important stuff. That doesn't make sense.
No, there's
Like,
just been a lot of weird inconsistencies on her end, I think. So
I
I am
really,
interested to see
I'm
things out.
I am desperate to see what happens. So I told you yesterday, I think it was, that I had heard that the jury consists of 5 men and 2 women. And normally I would be like, oh, this freaking sucks. This is the only time that I'm going to say, hopefully, this works out in his favor because of that. Because, I mean, I believe that his
Yeah.
team was very strategic in having her be the one cross-examining Amber, in having her be the one presenting the closing part of the case that was calling into question her abuse. If you notice that Ben Chu was the one that was mostly getting into like the rules for the jury, like verdict or whatever. And he called into like a few
Yeah.
things, but he wasn't ripping apart her testimony or her or the fact that she was abused, which is super strategic because if it's a guy saying it, I think that the general consensus is to be like, that doesn't seem sensitive, which is kind of ironic
Right.
because if you're talking about like sexism and stuff, shouldn't everyone have an equal right to say what they think about it? But that's not true. I wouldn't I feel like I'm very open-minded. But if it's a guy being like, "Well, I think that's crappy." What do you know? Shut up.
No, I think that his team was very strong and hers was the complete opposite. So
I do feel bad for them
we'll
though.
see.
How do you do a good job when your client is changing her story repeatedly? How can you
Like,
represent someone well that's like, "No, I did pledge the full amount," and they're like, "Donated," and she's like, "I use those words synonymously. You don't pay for a house all up front," and it's like, "What?"
yeah, no. I do feel like they definitely were dealt a shitty hand, and I don't know. So, anyways, all that to say, drop us some comments on YouTube, give us an email at what is it, maniacallymidwest at gmail.com, or
Yes.
leave us some comments on Instagram. We definitely want to hear what everybody thinks about this.
Yes. We love you guys so much. Thank you for listening again and joining us every week. Don't forget, after you're done on YouTube, you can like and subscribe on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Give us a review, give us a rating. It helps other people find us and helps other people be subjected to our sick minds. So I appreciate that. And I hope that you guys have had a lovely Memorial Day weekend because we're just coming out of that. And
Yeah.
if you or anyone you know is a senior family, happy graduation to them. I know in our school district, we just had graduation, and I think a lot of them are around this time. So thanks, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.